Statistics say 100% of people die, me included. And I'm not going to be able to do this anymore. I can't speak and have it recorded anymore. But something can live beyond me in this world. And I believe those are going to be the books that I'm going to be writing. For Mark Davis, what is your greatest goal? Different aspects of life. Which one to answer? I guess for the entirety of my life, greatest goal to write 100 books, so that hopefully my kids will learn what I know and grow up to be hopefully men. Because I have two boys, men who loves God and who is also successful in their own definition of success. Goal in terms of my businesses would be to make sure that they live to the third, fourth generation, so that these are businesses that would produce a lot of jobs, help a lot of families, and help the economy in general to grow. Next question is, apart from CEO at 22, what are the 5 key books you feel I should read and why? I recommended How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie last time. So definitely that is one book that I believe everyone should read. Second would be The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. I've read that for, I think, 4 times already since I was 12 years old. Fantastic book. Those are the laws of leadership, which, leadership is important in all areas of your life. In your own self-discipline, you have to lead yourself. In your marriage, you have to lead. In your family, you have to lead. Right? So if you're the guy, you have to lead with protection, with provision, with spiritual leadership. If you're the wife, you have to lead with nurturing, caring, right? Supporting, honoring, respecting. Leadership is really just super important, and learning the laws behind it, that will serve you for the rest of your life. Another book that I really love that I recently read would be Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. The Rules of Negotiation. It just helped me out because I'm a sales guy and I negotiate. I also, as the CEO, I'm the guy who fixes stuff. There's something broken or there's a conflict between people, maybe between client and an account manager, I'm the guy who comes in and tries to fix things. And that involves negotiation. Kaya ang tawag sa business people sa Pilipinas is negosyante. You have to negotiate. You can't be a businessman if you can't negotiate. So that one is a really good book. Another book would be Patrick Lencioni's The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. Being a team player is super important for me. That book helped me to learn about what breaks down a team, what makes it dysfunctional, and how you can deal with it. And it's such an easy read because Patrick Lencioni writes it in a story narrative where parang nagkukwento lang siya. He's just like narrating a fairy tale story, but in kind of a real life telenovela kind of way. So you learn the principles as you read the story. And that for me makes it a very easy read. Another book would be Entree Leadership by Dave Ramsey, because I'm a businessman and I had to scale up my business. I had to make it bigger. I had to deal with all of the accounting, legal. I have to make processes, train people, improve my hiring processes, improve my firing processes. All of these things that you don't think about when you're starting up. Because when you're starting up, all you think about is, how can I improve my cash flow? How can I survive? How can I make revenue better than, greater than my expenses? So that book, Entree Leadership, is definitely something that I think a lot of people should read. And it's super underrated because not a lot of people know about that book. And the default answer would be the Bible. And I think you might feel that I'm cheating by giving this answer. But I think it is a book that has changed my life the most. So I've read the Bible for 14 times already, and this is my 14th time to read it. I'm in the book of Ezekiel. And the principles that I learned there are secondary. What is primary for me is how I am able to listen to God and His will for my life. That for me is life-changing. That for me is super important. That for me took me from where I was to where I am now. So definitely the Bible has to make that top 5 list, because that's the book that I have read the most and I'm still reading it now. And that's the book that I have mastered the least, because the principles are just unending and applicable in all areas of life. So when you read also the Bible, there are so many promises there that you can unlock and you can just grab. You can just follow the rules and finally unlock that promise in your life, such as tithing. There's a verse in the Bible which says, "Test me on this." And actually, that's the only time that God says in the Bible, "Test me on this." Otherwise, you should not test God, right? So that's the only verse in the Bible. He says in Malachi, "Test me on this and see if I will not open up the gates of heaven so much so that you would not have enough room to store it. You're not going to be able to handle all of the blessings that I'm going to give you." And when I was younger, I said, this doesn't make sense. You give 10% of what you make to God. How can you make more from that? But I faithfully gave my tithes when I finally had my allowance in college. So that was a small amount. And I still give my tithes up until now that I'm doing business and the revenue is bigger than my allowance. And God has always been faithful. He has always provided for us. And that promise is true. It's very true in my life, can be true in yours. That's why I cannot not include the Bible in the top 5 books. Next question is, why is it important for you to write books? How do you start in writing your very first work? We have projectauthor.com. If you want to start writing that book in your heart, go to projectauthor.com. We are having a live webinar. Why is it important to write books? Because someday I'm going to die. Statistics say 100% of people die, me included. And I'm not going to be able to do this anymore. I can't speak and have it recorded anymore. But something can live beyond me in this world. And I believe those are going to be the books that I'm going to be writing. Maybe the blogs that I've written. Maybe. So for me, it's important to write books because it helps other people and it will outlive you. Also, my book CEO 22 it embodies the essence of my startup journey. And there are people who have shared with me how they have read it, how they love the stories, how it has helped them. It is a blessing. It's a blessing to read all of those. So if it can help one soul, it is worth writing already, in my opinion. But for me, I plan to write maybe 100 books before I die. That is something that I really want to do in my life. Hopefully, I'm able to do that. I need a lot of discipline. I need a lot of drive to be able to do that. But yeah, that's something that I would like to do. How do you start writing your very first work? Easy. Take your pen out, put it on paper, and just write. It's not important whether that first few words that you write will be included in your book, but the habit and practice of writing. You see, writing is a discipline. You have to have a set amount of time that you set aside. You book yourself for that time to write. How I wrote my second book, 50x Your Business. It's out in Amazon now. You can buy it if you want. 50x Your Business is every day I would say I need to write 800 words. Whether I'm motivated or not, 800 words. When there are times that I'm motivated, sometimes I would write 2,000 words, but I'm inspired, I'm motivated. But I think that happened just twice in the entire span of me writing that book. The book is around 28,000 words. If you download it in Amazon, you'll know it's an easy read. I promise you that. It's all about scaling up, building your business to be 50 times what it is. So I started SEO Hacker as a one-man team. It's just me. And now we're around 50 people in SEO Hacker. Basically, that book is all about how I grew it to 50x. That's why the title is 50x Your Business. And how I started writing that is just sitting down and writing the first few words. That's it. You have to have the discipline to finish, not just to write, but to finish a book, especially. From April, pahabol daw, how long did it take you to produce your first book? I wrote the manuscript for, I think, 2 or 3 months. It was done. But the editing took 3 years. And that's because my first son was born after I wrote the manuscript and after my first 2 or 3 editings. And then my second son was born 2 years after that. It pretty much went into the back burner because SEO Hacker was still scaling up during that time and I had to focus on it. I lived in Quezon City, so my office is in BF Parañaque. So I had to go back and forth. That's a very long commute, even if I was driving during that time. And so my time was very limited. It went into the back burner. And oh man, I think it took 3 years for me to finally say oh, it's time to finally, finish it and publish it. So 2017, I think, was when I finally finished it. The year I think that I published CEO at 22 as a hard copy was also 2017. So it took a long time. My second book took a lot less time. So 50x Your Business is out in Amazon already as an ebook. I did not print it yet as a hard copy because it's the pandemic. I don't think it will make sense to print it and keep it in a warehouse somewhere because it might not be, bookstores are closed. It's not easy to sell a book by yourself. So 50x your business, I started writing it February and then I finished it on August and uploaded it on Amazon. So that's around 6, 7 months and it's done. So you just have to focus. You have to give it time. I told myself 800 words a day, no matter what happens until I finish the book, 800 words a day. Kasama ni editing doon. So I had it edited and I personally edited it after the editing. So twice siyang na-edit and then I had the inputs of a handful of people, I think. They gave me their inputs. I incorporated some of them, re-edited it, finally published it. So first book took 3 years, second book 7 months. Done. What are the key learnings you had in writing CEO 22? Well, I learned how costly it is to produce a book. It will cost you a lot of time, effort, a lot of drive, and discipline. It will cost you a lot of money to print it if you're going to be self published. It will cost you money as well to have it edited, designed, layouted. So it takes a lot to produce a book. That's what I learned. And it's not easy to sell a book as well, even if you poured your heart and soul into it. You have to put a lot of time into marketing. You have to put a lot of time in promoting it. That's part of it. I think writing and publishing the book, putting it out there in the world, is just one small facet. The continuous promotion, continuous sharing of the book, that is like the bigger facet. That I think that's the facet that matters more. Because the writing is just one time, but the promotion has to be continuous so that people will be able to read your work and learn from you. So I learned those things. It's not build it and they'll come. It's not write it and publish it and people will read it. No, you have to promote it. That's it, guys. Thank you so much. God bless you.